Hey everybody, welcome to the 40 Finance channel. My name's Jeff Beers, and today I'm going to be comparing the age-old debate, should you invest in real estate or the stock market? If you like videos about investing and making your money go further, please subscribe, share with your friends. Let's jump in. All right, for the pros of real estate investing, I think the number one factor for a lot of people is that it's a tangible investment. You can touch it, you can see it, you can drive by it every day, and it looks real because it's sitting right there on the street. So that's a big win for some folks. Also, the fundamentals of real estate investing, in my opinion, are much more simple, right? You know what you buy the property at. You know what you have to get for a rental. You can understand taxes. There's a lot of things that are easier to forecast with real estate. And so crunching the numbers isn't as much of a guessing game. Another big bonus with real estate investing is you get to do it in a lot of cases with OPM, which is other people's money. So almost every real estate investor that I know uses leverage, debt, however you want to look at it, loans, in order to buy more properties, reinvest. That's pretty much how the game goes. Nobody has, $1 million in the bank account that I know of that buy $250,000 properties, every third Friday of the month. It's all based on loans and mortgages and leveraging other properties to get more properties. At the end of the day, you can access a lot more cash for real estate investing. I would say easier because it's based on fundamentals of the homes you already use. So that makes it easy to access other people's money. And finally, if you're doing rental investing, then you have access to direct cash flow if everything works in your favor. So, that's part of the initial math with real estate investing, is understanding what you could get in rent from a property. And if you do it the right way, then you could have anywhere from $200 to thousands of dollars of cash flow every single month, which of course is a lot different than stock market investing. All right, let's look at the pros of stock market investing. And first up, for me, low barrier to entry is a huge win. So you can literally start investing with $100 and a fairly limited amount of knowledge. Even your average Dow Jones index fund can get you started right away. Most of us have already started investing in the stock market if you even just have a simple 401k. So barrier to entry, very small. The next advantage for stock market investing is, of course, liquidity. So at any point in your investment cycle, if you decide to pull your money, it's typically very easy to sell stocks. Now, timing it so that you sell the stocks in a position to make a profit isn't always easy. That sort of depends on the market. But deciding one day that the $30,000 you have saved in the stock market, you actually need it to buy a new house, is as simple as liquidating your assets, which typically, unless you have a huge position, is as simple as a couple buttons, and then transfer the money back to your bank account. Then you have the concept of stocks of being a business owner without doing any work. So if you own shares of Procter & Gamble or Kroger or whatever stock suits you, they're the ones that are out there grinding and doing daily transactions and managing the business, while you're sort of have a passive approach. You might be earning dividends, you might be earning equity if the business is doing very well. And all this happens basically while you live your life in the background. And the number 4 pro for stock market investing is that there's such a wide array of options to invest in the stock market. You're basically looking at any niche possible of business, any type: energy, consumer, technology. You can also get into regions. If you want to invest internationally in stocks, there's options there. And then, of course, there's the whole other game of, do you want to be a swing trader, a long-term investor, penny stocks, options trader? There's really a niche for everybody in the stock market. It's just determining which one suits you best. Okay, so now let's discuss some of the cons for both of these investments, all right? So on the real estate side, you have a very hands-on investment. Unless you're mega rich and you have property management, you have multiple properties, more than likely your first 1, 2, 3 houses, it's going to be a hands-on investment. You're going to be the person they call when there's a problem. You're going to have to inspect properties. You're going to have to do the research work to figure out which one's worth investing in. So it is a hands-on investment as opposed to the stock market. Bad tenants and costly repairs can really set you back in real estate investing. So one bad tenant alone can stay in a house for months at a time and basically bleed you dry. The eviction process, at least in Ohio where I live, is painfully long. You're basically looking at 3 to 6 months to get a tenant out of your property. Vacancies is another concern for real estate. So a house that sits empty obviously costs you money every day because you're still responsible for the mortgage payments. And repairs. So a big repair, let's say a sewage pipe or flooding or the roof blows off your house, those things can be very expensive. And with things like flooding and even roofed to some extent are not always covered by insurance. It sort of depends on your policy. So you could be out of pocket a substantial amount of money if you have some bad luck. Number 4, I put on here for the cash down required. There's a lot of videos you see on YouTube and programs about buying real estate with no money down. And I don't want to discredit anyone who's ever made a video that says you buy a property, no money down. But I'll tell you what, that is a very rare scenario. If you think you're rolling into real estate investing with $0 in your savings account and very little equity or assets on your own end, I think you're going to find it darn near impossible to get into real estate investing. I can always be proven wrong, but in my world, the way I see it, if you don't have 20 to 30 grand in just straight cash or an investor who's willing to work with you, you are going to need a sizable chunk of cash to get started. Don't forget all the fees that come around with real estate investing. You know, there's commissions, there's contracts, there's paying taxes for. There's a lot of stuff that come into play. So if you don't have a dollar to your name, it's going to be very difficult to buy another person's house. And lastly, you have limited liquidity. You can't wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to sell my house, or I need to get out of this house as soon as possible. The ones that you want to get out of the most are probably going to be the hardest ones to sell. So ones that have vacancies, bad tenants, etc. So of course, there's always a price that sparks a buyer. But for the most part, any sort of real estate transaction to get in or out of a house, you're looking at 30, 60, 90 days, depending on how active the market is. So your money is locked up in the sense you can't get to it tomorrow if you need it. All right, so just like there's cons on the real estate side, there's plenty of cons on the stock market side. Volatility being the number one. So if you look at the stock market every day like I do, it can really bring you a wide range of emotions depending on what's going on, particularly in the Donald Trump era. So things go up and down all the time. If you can't stomach volatility, stock market is probably not for you. And I would say that the stock market requires a contrarian mindset, and not everybody has this. And I think you can win by playing the favorite many times. However, the people who do very well often have a contrarian mindset. So when they see their stock prices go down, but they still believe in the company, they're the first ones to say, good news, my favorite company is on sale. I'm ready to buy more. This is the type of mindset that all the best investors have. So if you can't be contrarian, if you can't read a bad headline or see a stock price dip and visualize the opportunity, then you're going to probably miss out on some pretty big margins in the stock market. Even though passive investing in the stock market is a bonus on one side, the negative to that is you really have no say in what the companies are doing that you're buying. So Bill Gates doesn't care really what my opinion is on Microsoft's business plan, marketing strategy, business costs, all those things, right? So I'm buying into his company and I have to align with his goals because I really have no say. Now, technically, you're a shareholder and you have some sort of limited voting rights, but really at the retail stock investor level, you're a nobody. You bought a ticket to the train that is the stock you purchased, and you're just going to have to ride along and watch the company, make sure that you're aligned with their decisions, and get out if you're suddenly not. And lastly, in the stock market, you get a lot of swirl of insider activity. You get hedge funds buying large swaths of stock, selling large swaths of stock. You have government regulation impacting things. All this can happen sort of out of the blue. So if you're not in a strong company or you're in a volatile market period, then you can see wide swings that are basically manipulations by other people. I would say if you're in strong companies and you're in things like the S&P 500 or, the higher end of the NASDAQ, then you're probably pretty safe. But just keep in mind that insider activity, short sellers, all those things can really creep up and bite a stock when it's already down. So at the end of the day, for me and my family, I choose stock market investing as my #1 investing tool. Now, with that said, we still live in a house that we're paying off. So I can't say that I'm totally out of the real estate world. I believe in real estate. My goal is to own our house free and clear sometime over the next 5 to 10 years. So we are trying to pay that debt down so that we have a tangible asset ourselves. But I don't really at this time have any plans to go out and buy additional property. And the reason being is because the stock market provides a lot of things that are important to me. Liquidity is #1. Anytime you have 3 kids and a 5-person family, having access to your money is mega important. So obviously I have an emergency checking account or emergency savings account, things of those nature. However, if I ever have a big bill come in, it's really nice to know that I can sell my positions and pay it immediately. I also like the fact that stock market investing basically has no minimums, right? So I can pretty much send any amount of money I want over to my brokerage account. It could be $100, it could be $1,000, it could be $10,000. And I can even buy at that time if I want to. So if I send $100 over to my brokerage, I can buy $100 worth of stock if I choose. Now, usually what I do is send little chunks over at a time, and then 2 or 3 times a month, I'll make a purchase with the money that's saved up. The bottom line is there's no rejection for the money that I send over. I don't have to do things at a $20,000 level, $10,000 level. And that for me makes it much easier to stay focused on my goal and keep investing every opportunity I can. The #3 reason I like stocks is the diversification options, and I mentioned this earlier in the video. There's just so many things you can invest in the stock market, and there's so many ways to balance out your risk. You can get into bonds, you can get into dividend stocks. There's just a lot of different ways to do it, and you can sort of compartmentalize as well. So you can have your penny stock portfolio off to one side and make sure that it's only a small percentage of your investment. And I just really like that control, especially with the world changing as quickly as it is. You never know when you want to jump on the next concept of a Tesla or a Netflix or whatever. You can do it pretty much on a whim. And lastly, with stock market investing, there's a lot of really cool tax pockets if you do your homework, okay? The #1 most obvious being the long-term capital gains tax. So if you don't take out any of your winnings, so to speak, until after you've owned all the stocks for at least a year, then your capital gains tax is only 10%. Short-term traders pay their normal income tax level if they're trading under a year. But if you can hold a stock for a year and realize gains, and then take the money out if you even need to, then it's only a 10% capital gains tax, which is great. And then also in regards to tax pockets, you have a lot of options with IRAs, 401ks, anything that you can do to get the money in pre-tax is a bonus, but stock market investing gives you a lot of tax loopholes to work through if you're smart with your money. Real estate has a lot of tax advantages as well. However, it's kind of interesting right now with the standard deduction being as high as it is. I'm married filing jointly with my taxes, and the standard deduction for us this year, which was $24,000, basically eliminated the credit that we got for paying interest on the home, which is not necessarily a bad thing because it's sort of apples to apples in the sense that the standard deduction covered it all. However, it really made me wake up and realize how much more quickly I should be paying down my house mortgage, because I'm really not seeing the benefit right now in this current tax code. And that tax code, I believe, is going on until the mid-2020s. So it's a really good time to pay down your mortgage if you live in your house, but that's a whole nother segment. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this look at real estate investing versus stock market investing. I choose stock market investing, but quite frankly, millions of millionaires have made their wealth through both of these methods. So I don't think you can go wrong. Just make sure you pick the one that's most relevant to your situation. Guys, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, share with all your friends. I'll see you on the next video.